Hello. I've been thinking a lot, and what I really want to talk about is the importance of reading, more specifically, reading comprehension. With Donald Trump soon to be the president again, which is absolutely ridiculous, it is very clear to me that America has an education problem, which is only going to get worse as technology improves and, for lack of a better word, dumb people can't take part in that type of industry. If you look at what has happened and the way people consume information, it is very clear that the average Trump supporter cannot read very well. This is not something that I say with pleasure. It's just a straight fact. The average Trump supporter, not someone that makes millions of dollars or has billions of dollars, just the average Trump supporter, if you take apart their arguments, you will see that they have almost no reading comprehension ability. Now, I understand that you may not necessarily need a college degree to thrive in this society, and that there are many ways to make a living. However, the average Trump supporter's lack of education really comes into sharp focus when you try to have conversations with them and you see very, very quickly that they have no reading comprehension ability. In my case, I know I'm not smart because of my inability to do math or my inability to do engineering problems or my inability to think very quickly. My intelligence comes from my ability to read something and understand it. To read something complex and to come away with a nuanced understanding of what is being said. This ability will get you pretty far in life. Math is a critical skill, but I think even more fundamental than that is someone's ability to comprehend the written word. And unfortunately, with the re-election of Donald Trump, it is very clear to me that the people who will suffer most from this are not the people who are well off enough to have their kids go to private school. The people that will suffer most from this are the MAGA followers' children, most of which are not well off and could really benefit from the public education system if it was run with any care or interest. You can go a step further if you were cynical like me and say that the objective of the MAGA follower is to make their kids as dumb as they are. This may be harsh, this may be untrue, but it is certainly going to be a reality. That is pretty plain to see. And that is very unfortunate. It is sad in a way when you see people that you once looked up to, or at least respected a little bit, have views that are so nonsensical, they are trashed within, I don't know, 2 minutes of trying to understand some well put together article. But for whatever reason, the MAGA followers don't see anything wrong in their lack of understanding. They, for some reason, have the ability to not only not understand the situation, but to think that other people have it just plain wrong. That more educated people are just wrong. Well, I can guarantee you that those educated people make more money than the average MAGA follower. And those people who have the ability to read and comprehend the world will be the ones, at the end of the day, who are least negatively affected by the Trump policies. What Trump is going to do to public education is going to be so harmful. But, in a way, it will ensure that the next generation is just as stupid and just as willing to vote for someone like Donald Trump as their parents have been. And that is very sad. There is nothing you can do about this. You can make all the YouTube videos you want, explaining how important it is to learn things. But at the end of the day, you're going to just be seen as elitist to those MAGA followers. But again, that really doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you will be smarter than they will be. And they will know that. Deep down, they will know that. So, whether or not they can comfort themselves with having someone at the top who they think speaks for them is kind of irrelevant. Because at the end of the day, the smart people will always be on top. And the MAGA people will have only a small set of moves they can make to try to comfort themselves as their lives don't get much better, and in all likelihood will get much worse as technology and the economic inequality that comes from technology increases over time. Having Donald Trump as a president will not change the idea or the fact that technology is improving at a pace that society cannot deal with in a fair nature. The only way to deal with that would be to say somehow that we are no longer interested in advancing technology. But I assure you, whoever the president is, technology will advance, and rich people always benefit from that advancement more than poor people. So, let the MAGA people live in their delusion where they think that small businesses run the world and that hard work matters. Because I'm here to tell you, one, small businesses don't run the world anymore. And two, hard work only matters when applied to the right things. You can work hard and break your body in a meaningless job that pays you no money. Or you can go to school, work hard, and learn a skill, a technology skill, or at least a reading comprehension skill that will make you an asset to the world. An asset that will get paid. An asset that will be in a position to have children and make sure those children can prosper in the future. not be stuck in a situation where you yourself are a stupid person, you marry a stupid person, you have mediocre children, and you introduce them to a life of mediocrity where they eventually grow up and, I don't know, run the same cycle of mediocrity that their parents did. Some people are okay with this, and some people will be very offended with this video if they make it through the video. But I think I represent the people that are not okay with this. The people that are not okay with being born in a place, living in that same place, and dying in that same place. I think I represent someone or a group of people who are at heart discoverers, at heart want to improve their situation, and at heart know that steps have to be taken to do so. Whether they understand those steps themselves or not is kind of irrelevant. Those people are not afraid to seek out people who are smarter than them and put their children in a better spot than they were in. I cannot say the same for MAGA. I think MAGA would be fully content if their children were literally just as incapable as they are. And I do think deep down, they realize themselves to be incapable. I think that's why they're so angry and bigoted. Because at the end of the day, if you're incapable, then what else is there to do? I don't think that leads to a very happy life. So, I don't know. I hope that this video, even though it may be angering to some, helps maybe some people understand that being smart and understanding the world in a logical way is always helpful. Never forget that. As a side note, I hate the idea that people are blaming Kamala Harris for the loss as if it was inevitable, or she could have done so much better and changed so much. At some point, you have to recognize some things. There are two things I will recognize right off the bat. One, people were, for justifiable reasons, hurt by inflation. Now I understand America was middle of the pack in terms of dealing with inflation, but I can at least see the argument being made. And two, the war in Gaza turned off a lot of people, a lot of democratic people. And if you want to put in a lack of primary, you can put that in there too, as a democratic depressant. But I also think it is wholly unfair to blame Kamala Harris and not put the majority of the blame on, again, for lack of a better word, stupid Americans who know absolutely the bare minimum of what you should know in order to have a functional life in this American society. At some point, the American people should look themselves in the mirror and understand that the majority of them are nothing special. The majority of them will accomplish nothing. The majority of them will do nothing, even if they have kids. I do not see having kids as an accomplishment. It is something that we have done is something all species do. The idea is to try to make your kids have a better understanding of the world than you did. And if that leads them to having more financial success than you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. But at least they will have a better understanding of the world than you did. I do not think voting for Trump a second time accomplishes anything of that sort. It's going to drag America down. It's going to make it more stupid than it already is, which is mind-blowing. But that's what's going to happen. And we'll just have to live with that. Another thing, which I've been thinking about, which is all a piece of this. Do people have any understanding of why we don't like to drill for oil in America? And why we are very happy with letting other countries drill for oil and then buying their oil? That is because drilling for oil causes many health problems through pollution and the cancer it causes. Trump saying he's going to drill is not a new idea. He just doesn't care about the health consequences that that's going to cause. It is not the Democrats' fault that they have an almost intellectual responsibility to think about things many layers deep. That is not a fault. And at some point, it is going to be required again. At some point, when we are facing a real crisis, it will be required again. It was required during COVID, which is why Trump lost his re-election bid against Biden, and it will be required again. It just seems to be a time in history where people have forgotten that knowing things is a critical piece of the human experience. And hopefully, in time, we can work to realize that again.